Today I'm going to show you how to make the viral lasagna soup. This is the second time I've made it and I just cannot get enough. It's the perfect cozy meal and I made it a little bit healthier. I also used gluten-free lasagna sheets and you could easily make this recipe dairy-free if need be. It's also so easy to make. There's minimal prep and you can meal prep it ahead of time to have for healthy lunches or dinners all week long. We're going to start off by dicing one onion. A hack that I've learned recently that actually some of you on here taught me about is to get a paper towel wet and set it on your cutting board while you cut your onion, and that way the onion doesn't make you cry as much. I don't know how it works, but I've tried it before and somehow it actually works, so thank you to whoever gave me that tip. So we're gonna take the skin off of the onion. So I like to slice the ends off of both sides and then just carefully make a slit down the side. That way the skin comes off nice and easily. Now we're gonna slice our onion. Let's hope that my hack works. So I'm making slits down the onion. This is another hack that I learned, is to make slits down the length of the onion. Just makes it a little bit easier to slice this way. And then we're gonna make slits almost to the bottom of the onion going the other way. So now we're gonna slice this way. And the onion is perfectly diced. So many hacks I've been learning recently on social media. All right, so we have our onion diced. I'm only tearing up a little bit, which is actually a major improvement. Usually I feel like I am sobbing while chopping an onion. So the paper towel hack does work. Next, we're taking some garlic. You can use as many garlic cloves as you want. I'm using 5 small garlic cloves, but like I said, use as many as you like. You can use 3, you can use more. So I'm just gonna chop these up as well. One of my favorite parts about this recipe, besides how delicious it is that these are the only 2 things you need to prep ahead of time. So you just have to slice your onion and slice your garlic, and everything else is super easy. So we're just slicing that garlic, trying to make it into as small pieces as possible. I know I'm not a professional slicer and this is probably not the best way to do it, but this is how I know how, so this is how we're doing it. So that is it for the prep. We've sliced our onion, sliced our garlic. Now we're gonna take that over to our pan, saute it in some olive oil, and then the rest of the recipe is super easy. So I have my pot on medium-high heat. I'm gonna add a drizzle of olive oil, a little bit more. Now I'm gonna take my onion and garlic and try to get it all in the pot. So now I'm just gonna saute this for a few minutes until the onion and garlic becomes fragrant and a little bit translucent. It smells so good. I feel like onion and garlic sauteing, or just any soup sauteing, smells so good and so cozy in the fall and the winter. So we are just gonna keep sauteing this for a few minutes and then we'll get started on adding the rest of our ingredients. Now I'm adding in 1 pound of ground beef. You could use whatever kind of ground meat you like. You could use ground turkey, ground chicken, ground pork, whatever you have on hand or whatever you prefer. So I'm adding that to my pot. I typically like to use grass-fed ground beef because it is healthier. So now I'm just breaking apart the meat, and you want to continue to cook it until there is no pink left. Just gonna keep breaking it apart. So see how some of the meat is getting browned here? We want all of it to look like that. So once it looks like this, we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I'm using frozen tomato paste, which is why it looks like this. Italian seasoning. I like lots of seasoning. Salt and pepper. Now give that a good stir until it's nice and combined. Now add 2 cups of your favorite marinara sauce. And 4 cups of broth. I'm just using chicken broth. Now we're gonna give this a good stir. And turn the heat to high. We're gonna bring this to a boil and then we'll add in our broken apart lasagna sheets. Now you're gonna take either mini lasagna sheets or whatever kind of lasagna sheets you like. I'm just using the regular full-sized gluten-free lasagna. I'm using the brand Jovial. So we're gonna take all of our lasagna sheets out of the box, and now we're just gonna carefully break apart these lasagna sheets into smaller pieces. They don't have to be perfect. They don't all have to be the same size. You just want them all to be broken apart into smaller pieces. This part is a little bit crazy because sometimes they fly all over the place. I don't know, there might be a better way to break apart lasagna sheets, but I'm not sure what it is. So if anyone has any tips or ideas on what would be a better way, let me know. I guess you could probably lightly cook them before and then slice them with a knife, but we didn't plan ahead, so we are just going this route. All right, last one. All right, so these are all done. The lasagna soup is boiling, so now we're gonna add these in and let them cook until al dente. This is already smelling so good. I'm gonna turn the heat down for just a minute while I pour these in. So now I'm just going to get all of my lasagna sheets into the pot. Now I'm just going to mix it until all the lasagna sheets are covered so that they all cook nice and evenly. So I'm gonna set a timer for about 8 minutes and I'll see how cooked my noodles are. If they need a little bit longer, I'll just add on a few more minutes, but I'm gonna start with about 8 minutes. So while the noodles cook, you want the heat to be on a low simmer. You wanna check on your soup every couple minutes while it's simmering. Just give it a stir, make sure nothing's sticking. Make sure everything is evenly coated in the broth so it's cooking right. We have Miss Lulu waiting so patiently, seeing if any scraps fall. The noodles are completely cooked through. This took about 15 minutes on medium heat. Now I turned the heat off and I'm gonna add in my cheese. So I already tasted the soup and it's really, really good already. So if you wanted to keep this recipe dairy-free, you definitely don't need to add in the cheese, but I'm gonna go ahead and add in 1 cup of mozzarella cheese and 1/2 cup of Parmesan. So we're just gonna stir this all together. Last optional step is adding in some spinach. I normally use fresh spinach, but I'm all out, but I did have some frozen spinach, so I'm just gonna pour this right in. I know it looks like a lot of spinach, but it's gonna shrink down and it really won't be all that much. Stir it all up and just give the spinach a few minutes to wilt down a little bit. All right, here we go, it's all ready. You can add more broth if you want it to be more soupy, but I personally like this consistency. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of extra cheese on top. It turns out so good and it's such an easy, healthy twist on a classic comfort meal.